tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so I have some updated news.
Okay.
It's exciting. Okay, so last week, a friend of mine came here, and we kind of assessed my body. You know, I put on basically a thong with heels, which is what you're going to be competing in anyways. Kind of looked at my shape, my physique, and how I'm, my stature and so forth. And she took some pictures and sent them off to her posing and prep coach. And the initial thought was that my bum, my booty, was too big. Which I got the biggest kick out of that. And honestly, I did not know how to take that. I really just didn't know how to take it. So, you're like going, okay, what am I supposed to think? So anyway, I ended up having a conversation with the posing coach, and she re-explained kind of what she meant by it. It wasn't that my booty was too big, it was just that I needed to have some reshaping done with it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I get that. However, it did stick with me, and I did continue to laugh about it, which is a good thing, because I certainly could have gone down a completely and totally different path, and, could have been this thing where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm devastated, what am I gonna do? So I opted to meet with the prep coach, and the prep coach was going to basically take my body fat, kind of assess me, give me his opinion, because he's a state judge for the state of Kentucky. So he's been doing this for 20 plus years. He's was bodybuilding for 14 plus years, so he knows his stuff. And he's coached a lot of women that want to do figure competing. So yesterday afternoon, I went and had a conversation with him. Wow, that's kind of loud. Anyway, went and had a conversation with him. Bad timing, huh?
No, that's okay.
Went and had a conversation with him, and so he asked me, some pertinent questions. Basically, tell me what your diet's like, and he took my body fat, and then he had me get into a bikini with a pair of heels, so he could take a look at my stature, structure, and had me do a few poses and so forth. And it was very interesting. I mean, part of me was like, okay, how uncomfortable do I feel? But this guy looking at me first time, sees me in a thong, the whole 9 yards, and it's like, what do I think? But I just put that all out of my head, because I'm like, okay, this is all for competing, and I'm going to be up on a stage in front of, thousands of people, so I just need to get used to it. So some really good things came out of it. First of all, after he took a look at me in the bathing suit and so forth, he determined that I would be better off competing as a figure competitor versus a bikini competitor. And that was very interesting. There were a few things that came into play. Number one, he just said that I had great upper body muscular definition, and he's like, you're far past the point for bikini, and you're close enough to where you need to have the upper body and so forth. He said just based off of my stature and how I'm built and my frame and so forth, I would be better for figure anyway. And the one thing that I really liked that he did say, and because we had a lengthy discussion about my chest, and that most of the figure competitors, either bikini, physique, or whatnot, generally speaking, have breast augmentation. And it's been one of those things that, had been, is that something I'm supposed to do? Should I be doing it? Wasn't quite sure. And I've got an 11-year-old daughter that right now is, could be very affected by something like that. And I might be, kind of showing her body image wise, how would that necessarily play a role, especially at an age where, she's very impressionable right now with so much of that stuff. I mean, she's starting to grow herself and asking questions and whatnot. So it's one of those things that, I've been toying around, and I've always been told, do it for yourself, and I totally realize that. But he was very forthright in saying that, if you were doing a bikini competition, he would say it would be more of a must, simply because they do factor that into it. But for a figure competition where you are trying to lean out, and that as you are leaning out, you're going to lose your chest anyways, it's expected that either you're going to have, a breast augmentation, or you're just going to be where you're at, and there's nothing wrong with putting inserts in and competing, because what they're looking at are your back muscles, they're looking at, you know, your abs, they're looking at your legs and your glutes, and the focus is not on the chest. So I was like, okay, great, you know, so that made me really happy. When we got to the part about, you know, my nutrition, you know, I had done some research, but I really, really made a concerted effort over the last 6 to 8 months to clean up more of what it is that I'm putting in my body, and I wanted to see how that would affect me overall, which I have tons more energy than I've ever had before. I've just noticed some significant changes just in how I feel, my hair, my skin, my nails, you name it. And when I told him what I eat on a daily basis, he was just blown away. He's like, nobody comes to me and has already started eating this clean. And I'm like, look, I'm pretty consistent. This is not anything that I deviate seriously from, but this is what I eat. And he was very impressed. We tweaked it a little bit. I need some muscle growth actually in my legs. So in order to get that, a little bit heavier lifting and then more protein. So I just need to add 1 extra meal a day, and that is more high in protein than what I'm currently doing. So I was completely pleased with that. And then when he gave me my body fat results, I was just stoked. I'm at 10.68, which is almost competition ready. And he's like, you will not even have to do much of anything if we keep going down the path that you're at. You know, add that extra protein in, do a few tweaks here and there. He's like, by the time, you know, you get to competition, he's like, you're gonna be just ready. And he really felt like he could make me a champion, which is what he said. Woohoo! So I was pretty excited about it. So yeah, that's my story, that's my news. So we are looking at something either end of July or first part of August. And I'm gonna take couple of sessions with him to train for some heavier leg days, in addition to what it is that I'm doing with Jimmy. He just could not say enough about what my trainer has already done with me, and said, you know, just keep working on the upper body. With working with him with the legs, he's also just going to be able to monitor the body fat percentage, and also just, as he put it, he's like, he's trained enough ladies with legs to know what to do to get them to that point. So just a few things that we're going to tweak with me working out with him, and should be in good shape. So that's my news.
I had a question. Oh, can you do, like, what do you like your, what did you call it, your positions, or Vogue, like your strike a pose?
Oh, the poses.
Yeah.
They're interesting. This is where the posing coach will come into play. So
yeah.
somewhere probably into June, I'll start working with the posing coach.
Okay.
So the posing is, you know, just very interesting. Some of it's just where you're putting your heels together, you know, slight flexion in the knees, you're flexing the legs, and then you just want to roll that body back and up. And, you know, basically you're just trying to show a pose where you can flex all of your muscles. So there's a forward pose, there's a back of some sort, there's a side pose in which you have to put one arm out. And I don't know them all. He was positioning me yesterday, and I could not even remember them to save my soul. But yeah, so there's certain poses that you do, and that's really about it. So they're more looking for, in the figure, you know, just your muscular definition and how it is proportionate to, you know, your stature and kind of how it all looks. They're looking for that broad shoulder, you know, pull the waist in, and then those nice kind of curves to the legs. So,
Awesome.